G'day, fellas.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Cam.
How's your day been, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, not too bad. Just opened up a taxi rank down the street. I love
All
delivering
right,
to
all
Dubbo
right.
and providing what the
Yeah,
people need.
we don't need the PR speech, Mr. Mayor.
That's not a PR speech, it's my genuine opinion. You probably get a lot of those
All
PR
right, you know
types in
what?
here, don't you?
How about you just tell me a bit about yourself, Mr. Mayor? What's your backstory? What are your motivations? Your core values, I guess?
Yeah, so speaking from the heart about, I guess my upbringing to start with probably shaped largely the part of who I later became. I was the youngest of six siblings. Well, at a very young age, um, all my siblings except for one and my parents tragically died in the Great McNugget barn fire of 1950 something or other. And that was really defining for me because I grew up without those connections that most other people would normally have. And I think, I was raised in large part by my older brother, and he showed me and taught me from a young age that resilience that you need. That don't. He's one of his favorite sayings. He was a bit rough around the edges, but one of his favorite sayings was,
What was
don't be
his
a
name?
doormat.
What
Don't
was
let.
his name?
That's my brother. Um. He's Eustace. My brother. We're
Oh,
not.
I'm aware of
And
Eustace. I'm aware of Eustace.
we're not in contact as much anymore. But he
As
did raise me. And
much?
he used to always say, "Don't." He Yeah, look, we've kind of got very different lifestyles now. He's
We'll get into
doing
that
his own
later.
thing, and I'm doing my thing. So we're very different. But it was different when he was younger, and he did teach me some quite
Uh huh.
pivotal
Okay. Okay. Okay.
lessons that have
Okay. Okay.
shaped me to be the
Okay.
person I am today. And I hope to bring those with me,
Okay. Nope.
into the mayoralship.
Yep. Okay. Let's just start off with a simple question. What's your favorite part of the city? What do you love about this place?
Where do I even start, Cam? There is so much that I, love about this great city that I'm so grateful to to call home. Um, I guess the big thing that I love the community that we have here. The fact that you go down the street, you get to run into all these people, you get to see all these familiar faces, you get to have a chat, you get to meet them, you get to hear what their concerns are, what their struggles are, and that is one of the things I love about Double. We've got so many different people of different backgrounds, but everyone gets along, and I really enjoy that. And I really just enjoy, going down to Woolworths and just, having that chat with someone in the
So
shops. And
you love going down to
it's the
Woolworths.
community aspect. No, the community aspect
You
of
like the
the town is
community,
what I cherish. The
community
community, yeah.
aspect, community aspect. Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Very intriguing, actually. Um, but you know what? I think a lot of people are very interested in knowing more about. He's a very elusive man, Jiminy McNugget. What was it like working under him?
Look, I'm gonna be frank with you, and that's one of my key values is honesty and
Sorry, my name's not
integrity,
Frank.
right?
It's Cam. I thought we've been over this.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, Cam, it's a figure of speech. It's a saying. You know what, don't worry. But but, we didn't always agree on everything, and I think that's quite key. We didn't always agree on everything, but we learnt how to work well with each other. He was always a good person to work for. He always heard and listened to other people's opinions, even despite if they conflicted with their own, and he was always very, you've met him before. Most people in Dubbo have met him. He's very personable, right? So yeah, a pleasure to work with.
Pleasure to work with. Is that what you think?
Look,
Okay.
look, we had a great working relationship, and that's as much. I was his second in,
But
in
why? But
command. He appointed me to this
so
position.
what's your
Why
what's
would we
your
not have a great working
what's your
relationship?
what's your no? I'm going to the next question. Can you please not give me back talk?
No, no.
What do you think? What's your relationship with Gemini? Like outside of um, work? I guess.
Well, look, we've always been very good colleagues. I've worked with him for a long time, and I think that's foundational to the success that we've been able to create, and all the stuff, under Jiminy's campaign now transferring to my tenure, all the stuff we've been able to deliver for Dubbo, and I
I
think
think
that
you're
working
misunderstanding
relationship
I think you're misunderstanding my
is
question,
really
Mr.
important.
Mayor. I think you're misunderstanding my question. I've been asking,
Sorry, please clarify.
I'm saying outside of your duties as mayor, outside of, your job, what is your relationship to the former mayor Jiminy McNugget?
Um, Look, as I said, we're really close,
Mr.
personal
Mayor, are you
colleagues.
dodging the
Obviously,
question?
when I'm not dodging the question at
What's your
all.
last name, Mr. Mayor?
I
What's your last name, Mr. Mayor?
McNugget. Oh, so you're asking about our familial
Yes, I am
connection,
asking about
right?
your familial.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
thought
would
that
have
was
preferred you
obvious.
to ask that in the first place.
Well, I think it was
Look,
pretty obvious, wasn't it? What I was trying to ask. I think you were dodging the question. Anyway,
look, I am his
answer.
I am I am his great uncle. He's my great nephew. Um,
Hmm.
and in that respect, um,
Why do you think Jiminy
we
chose
are.
you for this
under-
position, Mr. Mayor?
Look, I think Jimmy understands that. Look, I'll start by this. I didn't ask for this position, right? But the city of Dubbo was in a little spot of bother, and I think Jimmy knew
Um,
that they needed someone who was capable
are
enough
you
to
referring to
lead the
the
city
riots that
into
were
peace
happening? Are you
and
referring to the
security.
riots?
And I think that
Are you
he
referring
chose
to
me
the
because he
riots?
knew I would have the
Are you
qualities and
ref-
the skill set
If you're going to
that
be on
was
my show, you
needed
need to answer my
to
questions,
ensure
Mr. Mayor.
Dubbo was going to be in
Mr. Mayor.
peace.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I'm happy. I'll just appreciate if you let me finish my question. Your
No,
turn.
well, I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Mayor. My question was, are you referring
Of
to the
course.
riots?
Look, there were a few key defining events within that, but luckily, I've been able to work with the people to resolve
So that
those dilemmas, and I consider myself to be, bringing, Pax Dubbo, Dubbo peace, peace to Dubbo, by
so
resolving these issues, by actually working with the community and
let's just
listening to their
clarify you.
needs.
We
And
are talking about the riots here. We are talking about that.
look, as I said, there were difficult periods. Those riots
So we are
included.
talking. Okay,
But
yes, exactly. Okay, okay. Because my point is, Jiminy McNugget has, since the day he retired, has maintained that the riots had nothing to do with why he left. Do you have any comment on that? Can you give us any insight on what the real reason might have been?
look, Jiminy had always felt that it was his obligation to look after the people of Dubbo and to get Dubbo into a position that he could hand it off to someone else. You know, he particularly towards the end of his tenure, he was looking forward to, relaxing his days on the beach in Bali, getting out of the high life that he'd been in for
Sorry, Bali.
so many decades of successful leadership, right? So I think it was just a natural time he wanted to spend
So
more time,
okay,
with the people he cares about in the
yep.
places he
Mm-hmm.
loves.
I'm just going to cut you off there. So we've established that he's handed it off to you, but why did he do that? Like, why of you of all people? What makes you more qualified than anyone else in his staff team?
Look, I was his chief of staff and his second in command. I,
Why?
was quite formative in a
I ask what makes you qualified for that position, Mr. Mayor.
I've I've had a long and extensive career in law. I've been a criminal defense lawyer, defending people's rights, that is so desperately trodden on in so many cases in our society. And through that work, I've been able to, liaise with so many vulnerable community groups. And I think that experience combined, with my work is what ultimately made me a suitable choice. As I said, I didn't ask for this position, but naturally, Jimmy felt I was the only one capable and qualified enough to take over from him, and the only one that could, restore Dubbo to a state of
So
peace and bring it forward into the future.
you don't think there was any aspect of nepotism involved in this decision?
Look, I don't. I'm not a spring chicken, so I don't see how you could realistically
I'm
say
sorry,
that
what?
nepotism has occurred here. I'm I'm not a spring chicken. I said, like, Jiminy is to my junior. I'm to his senior, right? So I find that quite odd that you would concern that to be nepotism. There's quite
Well,
a we
what
share
I'm
the same
saying
last
is,
name, but
Mr. Mayor, if you'd let me
it's
finish,
quite a
if you'd let me
tenuous
finish,
link. Do you not think?
I don't think it's tenuous at all. I mean, like, you guys are family. It's natural to assume there must be some level of, I mean, nepotism isn't necessarily, like direct lineage. It can be, someone external coming in, but they're still related. I mean, Jiminy, let's be real. I'm going to say it, you probably you wouldn't be mayor right now if you weren't related to Jiminy.
I would hesitate to agree with that, actually.
Really,
I
really,
have
really.
very little connection to Jiminy's side of the family anymore. When a position
You
opened up
don't think, you don't
for
think
his chief of
when,
staff, I
Jiminy's
applied
there
for it.
selecting his chief of advisor and he's looking at all these people and he sees someone with a last name McNugget, you don't think that gives you an edge over anyone else? You think that was totally there was zero nepotism involved in that? You don't think he
No, I don't
none
think
of the
so. I
thought
think
even
my
crossed his mind?
No, I know Jiminy was a man of good character and a man of strong character,
See, I
and
think
I know
us,
that my
me,
experience and my skill set speaks about.
I, and a lot of people find that extremely hard to believe, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be totally honest with
Can
you.
I s Sorry, can I just ask you what the name of your this guy over here is? The director of this program, what's his name?
Um,
Chad Sterling, mate.
Chad Sterling.
That's it, and your name is Cam Sterling.
Excuse me. Okay,
Any
but you see
any
the
comment
difference
on
here
that?
is we are a family business, Mr. Mayor. The office of the mayor is not a family business you can just pass down from generation to generation. You understand that, Mr.
And we're
Mayor?
not
Are
doing
you
that.
seriously trying to
We
equate the mayor's office, right, to a family-owned business?
No, I'm not,
Are
not
you
at all.
seriously trying to do
But what I'm
this?
saying,
Yes, no, this is what you are
I'm not
doing. Mr.
taking
Mayor, stop talking. This is what you are doing, and I'm not going to
this
stand
is
for it.
why I called an election. This is why I called an election because I believe the people deserve to choose. I'm taking over the McNugget party, sure, but the people ultimately are going to decide who they want as their next mayor. I could, if I wanted to, just say I'm going to be mayor, but I'm
Could
not
you?
doing that. I'm not doing that
No, because
because that's not what
no,
the people
Mr. Mayor.
deserve.
Okay, how about we both take a deep breath, all right?
Okay.
Take a deep breath. Yes, okay. Listen,
Hmm.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm not even saying that it's necessarily objectively wrong, right? It is the McNugget party after all. What I am saying,
Exactly.
what I am going to say is, I think you know as well as anyone that you can't, you're in this situation. If you just took over after Germany, there would be rioting in the streets that some random person just got put as our new mayor, and we have to accept it. This isn't.
Exactly.
This is no, 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 no.
That would be
This
unjust,
isn't a benevolence.
which
This
is
isn't
why I'm
a
called.
benevolent. This isn't you doing something amazing and just for all the people. This is just you doing something that you need to do in order to not look, like a terrible person or whatever. You can't just.
Look, I don't think motives matter. I think the right thing is the right thing,
I
and
think no.
you're
I think
compelled to make the right choice in a
I think
situation
motives
like
matter. I
that,
think
right?
motives matter when you're trying to make like a point about your character. No,
I don't appreciate you spinning this backwards
I'm not
on
spending
me because
anything. I'm not spending anything. You're trying to make
I don't
claims
think this is a
that you're
big deal.
being benevolent and
That's you.
you're doing the right
Yeah.
thing when the just your
Well,
motives.
there's the right thing too.
It
But
is the
if I
right
didn't
thing,
do the right thing, that
but
would be
also
wrong, right? So I did the right thing. I don't
you can't
understand why
because you
there's
had to
concern. I've been talking to people all day, and
because you had
no
to.
one is concerned that I made the right decision. Yeah? No
That's
one
not the point. That's
is
not the
angry
point.
that I've made the right decision, right? People are happy that I made the right decision in that
No, but
situation. They're glad that I did.
my point is, you can't be claiming benevolence. You can't be claiming, oh, I'm doing such a good thing when you're doing things that you objectively need to, right? You can't go around claiming that you're some good person and you're some, when you're just doing the right thing that most other people would do in that situation. No, Mr. Mayor, you understand?
Yeah, and as I'm saying to you, I did make the right call in that situation, and many people appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
okay,
I
and
think that's testament to
we can.
the direction I want to take the mayor's office
No,
into
it's
if
not.
I
It's really
am
not.
elected
It's really
again.
not. You doing the basic necessity is not a testament to anything. It's just you a testament to being vaguely competent and vaguely understanding that you can't just go around and just put yourself in this new
I
position without
appreciate
any
you
backlash.
acknowledging my competence in this situation. I think that is why I'm the right
I even
person to
acknowledge
take on this
my
position.
grandson's over here confidence. Okay, competence. Sorry. All right.
Sorry,
It's not.
just having a glass of water.
Yeah, you seem a bit tense there, don't you?
No, not at all.
All right.
I just really
Let's move
appreciate
on.
this
Let's
candid
move on.
discussion.
Let's move on.
Okay.
So we've established that you know we've been over the Hugh getting elected. What's your we've been over the past. What's about the future? What's the future of the McNugget party looking like?
Look, I think we really need to take ourselves into the 21st century. There's a larger proportion of younger voters that I think needs are actually aligning with the needs of the older generations. I think that the people are clearly unified in what they want, and I'm certain the McNugget Party in our future direction can deliver that. Look, we haven't announced our official policies yet, but a lot of it centers around what the community needs and wants. That connectivity, that's easier life. That's the cost of living, actually proposing real benefits that fix the cost of living and the housing crisis, right? We're providing real solutions that will help real people. And that's part of our commitment to delivering for Debo.
Okay. No, I've really got my notes on that. How are you, there's been a big uptick in crime as of late, What's your listen, previously Mayor Jiminy had a council enforcement program.
Mm.
Um, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that to achieve effectively a um, lower crime rates and a reduction in crime, I think it needs to be a two-pronged approach. I think we need both situational crime prevention, but also social crime prevention. We need to make places less easier to commit crimes in. That's through the addition of better street lighting, nicer places, that is through CCTV. But we also need um, social crime prevention, right? We need those diversionary programs. We need to give young people things to do. That's one of the biggest stakes in particularly regional areas. These young kids don't have enough to do, so they resort to crime. So that's why those diversionary programs through that social crime prevention are equally as important to however many cops you've got on the street, right? And I think through that mix, through both that situational and that social crime prevention is how we're really going to achieve a reduction in crime in terms
Okay.
of policing
I
specifically
understand. I
in
understand. I
terms of
understand. I
policing
understand. I understand. Listen,
in terms of
these
policing
these things sound
specifically,
great. No, these
I
things.
think we need
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
highly trained
Mr. Mayor, I'm
police
gonna have to
that
ask
know
you to,
what to do.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop.
Yep.
I really need a
No, I've
bell.
I've stopped. Please,
So
go.
you're talking about all of these, like programs, street lights, all this other stuff. Where are
Mm.
you going to get this money from, Mr. Mayor? I mean, let's be real. I mean, we've had Mayor Jiminy in office for how many years, and he couldn't get together enough money to fix a street light. How are you going to get this money?
Look, the and as I said, I think, this is a multifaceted issue. There's not a simple one and done solution to this, right? I think it needs to be considered from multiple angles. However, we have quite an ambitious program, but I'm confident that we can achieve it. We look at things like
Okay.
where our distribution of money is going. So
Uh
that's,
huh.
our control of our finances, how are we spending that, seeing where if there's any wastages anyway, making people more accountable for the taxpayers' money that they spend. And then also looking at our sources of
What do
money,
you mean by
where
making
we can
people accountable for the taxpayer money they spend? That sounds like a very
so
similar. That sounds like a very similar like train to what the Mayor Jimny was originally lambasted for. Does it not?
well, look, I think of utmost importance when you're in a public office, regardless of what level you are, you're accountable for the fact that every dollar you spend comes from taxpayers and that you're working for taxpayers. So you need to be, accountable with your money. You need,
Okay,
to be knowing what's happening with your finances and ensuring you're
that's
doing what's best
understandable. That's
for the taxpayer.
understandable. That's understandable, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, what other policies? I mean, you haven't officially released any yet, but can you give us an insight into whatever you're thinking?
Look, Look, we haven't released anything officially. We're still, in the final drafts phases, but just for you, Cam, and just for your viewers, I'm happy to outline, the impetus of what our policies,
Okay, but if we could please
will
keep
be
it brief,
around.
Mr. Mayor.
Of course, we do have quite an extensive policy, portfolio, but I'll stick to the key talking points for you. Firstly, we're going to be backing local businesses. It's through a variety of ways, but we understand local businesses as the backbone of local communities, so we need to back them, right? Through grants, through funding, through stimulus and contracts. We're going to be backing local businesses. We're going to improve housing supply. The housing crisis is one of the biggest concerns, not only for young people, but also everyone in our society of every age. The median house price, I think in the state is around 1.2 million at the moment. That's outrageous. You have to be a millionaire to afford a home. And what society is that fair and equitable? So we're going to be fast tracking housing approval, so it's easier to build houses. We're also going to be, we've seen under Mayor Jimmy, there's a mid-rise building in Dubbo CBD now full of apartments for people. We're going to be improving that, improving medium density, as well as encouraging essential worker and affordable and social housing so everyone has a place to live, particularly the people we need, like our police officers, like our doctors, our nurses, our teachers, right?
Uh-huh.
We're going to work to improve Dubbo CBD. So that's, through schemes and initiatives that improve accessibility and walkability, like the taxi reg I just opened up today. And that goes on to, improving, public transport and connectivity, through different parts of our region. We're going to work on some very big, I'm not going to announce it yet, but some very, very big programs to increase, the sporting events that we're getting here in Dubbo. Um, and we're also going to work on reforming the tax system because income earners pay too much tax currently, and we're going to work to reform that to make that more equitable.
Okay. Okay, I understand, Mr. Mayor. That's I don't know how, yeah, I don't know
It's,
too
as I
many.
said, quite an ambitious program,
It's
but
very
we
it's
can
very
confident in our
ambitious, and
ability to achieve it.
I do, wonder if you are, how, how we. I asked earlier, and I feel like we danced around it, but these programs, how are you going to build all these houses while also simultaneously reducing taxes?
Yeah, look, that's a key concern, and I maintain that we will be reducing taxes under my mayoralship. And look, to start off with your first key point about the houses, the council doesn't build the houses. We give those contracts to, local private contracting companies that can build those houses for them and they make the money from that. But it's about us making the land available. It's making it easy for those companies to get approval. And ultimately, supply and demand, the more supply we have, prices will go down. So that's how we're going to achieve that with actually very little input from the
Uh
council.
huh.
In terms of our other initiatives, there's a lot of state and federal government grant money that we can access that previously hasn't been accessed under other administrations. We plan to access that to, um, you know, improve our local services, but also leveraging, you know, contracts and obligations with other key stakeholders to ensure that we can achieve our agenda and do so while also decreasing taxes for the average Joe.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Sorry about that. Small interruption.
I didn't notice anything. You're all good, Cam.
Okay. I don't have too many thoughts on your policies besides, what we've just
They
been
sound
over.
great.
Yeah. No need for the
I,
condescending laugh, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
I, that wasn't my intention. Okay.
I want to talk McNugget family.
Hmm.
Um, I have one. You recently have been seen with a man by the name of Bobby Bobbington. What's your relationship to Bobby
Yes.
Bobbington?
Look, as I said, I'm in the business of being candid and being frank with people. So I'm going to be honest. Until a few hours ago, Bobby was my chief of staff and my advisor. He has since we've undergone a thorough vetting process, and he's been into some legal trouble. So he is no longer working for me or has anything to do with my campaign or my office.
So,
Taxpayer money and funding, and more importantly, my campaign should not be put in the jeopardy of someone who is of that caliber.
okay. No. But you were acquaintances with him before that, correct?
Look, I did an applicant process for my chief of staff, and he won that application process through his experience. But after a day on the job, I think he's lost it because I obviously we take that vetting
Where
process over a
does
bit of time.
where does
He was
Bobby
just on a little bit of a
can I
trial
ask,
run, and obviously that's been
where does
terminated now.
Bobby fall in the McNugget family tree?
Look, my family is obviously a hot topic of conversation in the town, and I understand that. If you've seen our family tree, I'm from one side of the McNugget family, and the other side, I'm not too involved with them or their
No, 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 no,
business,
no.
right?
So you're
And I
admitting
think
he's a so
Bobby,
no, no, no. So you're admitting he's a part of your family. He's a part of the tree. I Earlier we were discussing
look,
the
I
hot topic of nepotism, and you were denying the fact that any nepotism involved. Now, this is the third member of the McNugget family who's been put into this party with like seemingly not much vetting because he's been fired like a few days after you hired him.
Well, as I said, he was on a
It seems
trial
to
run,
seems to
so
me
that
like
wasn't a confirmed position yet.
yes, but it seems to me like more nepotism. You can see how that looks like that, Mr. Mayor.
Look, as I said, there was a rigorous application process from which all candidates for positions are selected. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of of your so-called nepotism, I argue that there's very few. Uh, I argue that that is not a as prevalent of a thing that you're making it. I think you seem to be fixated with this idea, when in
I don't think I'm.
reality,
I don't,
you can
Mr.
look
Mayor,
at my
Mr.
list
Mayor.
of people who don't have the last name McNugget, and it's most of them. I tell you that. Just because we are a family of competent people who are able to get positions, I don't see why that is being held against us. And as I reiterated before, it's a very expansive family. There's a lot of people within the family, and there's also, different sides of the
But you
family. So I'm
understand
not,
how it looks, Mr. Mayor.
I'm not
You
having
understand how it
Christmas with
looks.
these
Shush.
people.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I'm gonna have to. You understand how
Well,
it looks. You understand how it looks. All right. Jiminy McNugget gets elected as mayor. Puts his what grunkle, great uncle, as his advisor. Then Jiminy McNugget leaves. Great uncle goes to mayor. Guess what? Hires Bobby Bowington. Guess what? Another McNugget to be his advisor. Where does the cycle end, Mr. Mayor?
look, and as I said to you, you've picked what, three people, myself included, and former Mayor Jimmy Nugget, out of our list of staffers that work for council, right?
But
I
these aren't just
hardly think
staffers, Mr.
that's a
Mayor.
proper
These aren't just
comparison.
these aren't just staffers. These are the head people of your party.
Look, and I pose to you again, it is the McNugget party, right? Who we are employing for our party is an entirely different matter to who we are employing in city offices, okay? And all the people you've just pointed out
So you're
have been
admitting that the
employed
people
by the party. And the party is self-funded by our family. There's no taxpayer money at all in that.
so
We actually
no, wait, so you're
refuse
saying there is
our
nepotism because
taxpayer
it's funded by the family.
commitments. No,
Well, you just said
and
it
I'm not, and
was.
I'm not directly expressing that there is nepotism, but I'm
Okay,
saying
let's move on.
that
Let's
naturally,
talk. Okay,
when we
let's
see
listen.
talented people,
This
we
isn't.
employ them in those positions.
I'll be honest, Mr. Mayor, this isn't the line I wanted to go down, but we're down it now. We take a step back. I can clearly see you're uncomfortable by this line of questioning, so we're going to take a step back.
I'm not comfortable at
Do
all.
you?
I'm actually happy to get the truth out there,
Haven't you?
and I
Okay,
think it's
Mr. Mayor,
important
Mr. Mayor,
that we
this is my
express
show.
that
This is
truth.
my show. This is my show, Mr. Mayor. You can't talk over me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. My bad.
Hey there, I'm Jiminy McNugget, and welcome to Jim's Pizza. We thank you for a look around. Here we got our exquisite VIP seating area with the most upper class members of society. Out back here we got our state-of-the-art kitchen. And even to top it all off, we'll deliver straight to you. So what are you waiting for? Come on down to Jim's Pizza.
In Darbo, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in Darbo. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Let's hear it for Darbo, Darbo, Darbo. Okay. So we were talking about Bobby Boppington, all right? And you're
Yeah.
saying you had a relationship with him before he got fired, obviously. He's part of the family. He's also a, convicted criminal. Not only that, he used to run a company known as Clanker Cars. Obviously, I mean, you've heard of them, correct? They're quite prevalent in this town.
I,
The
yeah, I have heard of them.
Clanker Cars business resulted in the deaths of countless people because of their negligence in their operations on a day-to-day basis. And if I can remember correctly, and I am remembering correctly, you were the lawyer for Mr. Bobby Boppington. You were defending him. What do you have? What do you have to say about that?
Look, as I said, I had an extensive career across many legal disciplines as a criminal defense and also as a corporate negligence lawyer. So people hire me, as part of that's the nature of the job. You don't say that Diddy's lawyer is as guilty as Diddy, do you?
No, but I will say, right?
I'm
No, 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 no.
hired whether regardless of whether I agree with them or not, I have my job and my duty to represent them. And I think
But
most
Diddy's lawyer
people
wasn't related to him,
understand
was
the
he?
job of a lawyer. What was that, sorry?
Diddy's lawyer wasn't related to Diddy, was he?
That's regardless of the fact. I was hired again because of my firm's excellent results, and Bobby chose to hire us. I didn't never even met him before he hired us.
And then you hired him
And
to work as your secretary or whatever, your advisor.
well, as I said, there was a rigorous application
And he
process,
the
and he was
application
the one that
process,
was
he
selected
was the
for the
first
trial
selected for.
process.
But first selected.
As I said, there are
Uh,
multiple people who are going to undergo the trial process. He was the first cab off the rank, as I, get the pun because I opened a taxi rank earlier.
Meh, stop patronizing me, okay? I understand the pun. I just don't
Sorry,
find it very funny.
sorry, sorry. I apologize unreservedly and sincerely.
So, all right. So, Jiminy McNugget is a very controversial figure, as you probably know. Um, he's actually we also know he's been convicted of a lot of things in this time. He is definitionally a criminal, and I there's
Look,
one
I
thing
would I would think you would need
I
to prove
hesitate
that in a court of law for it to be
I
truthful.
hesitate. I mean, he's been convicted of multiple things. Anyway, I hesitate to bring this up because I want to touch on a topic that a lot of people get antsy about when you mention it, specifically around your family in particular. Are you aware of a biker gang that goes by the name of MC Nuggets?
Look, naturally, I've read some news articles about this alleged
Mr. Mayor, how
biker gang,
closely are you tied with the MC Nuggets biker gang?
I wouldn't know a single member of it. I've not,
You
as
wouldn't
I
know a
said, I've
single
only
member
read
of it,
about
would
it in
you?
media
You wouldn't
articles.
know Eustace McNugget, the
Not
current acting president of the. You wouldn't know him,
as I said, I don't know
the
that they are
supposed
members
brother
of
that
it.
you
I
mentioned
may know
earlier.
people.
You were very buddy with when you were a kid.
I may know people who are a member of it. I may know people, but I don't know that they are a member of it. If you're telling me my brother is a member of it,
Very
that's a
prominent
shame to
member.
hear
I don't
because
know.
I don't you know like this crime. I think it's quite heinous, and I think it's a damage to our community.
Mr. May, you see how it's hard for me to believe this. You see how it's hard
Please
for
explain.
a lot of people to believe that you know this is this is like one of your brothers we're talking about here. Um, and it's
And as
Jiminy
I
has
said, we
been
haven't
no
really had contact since I left home when I was a kid,
okay, but we've seen Mayor
and I went
Jiminy
off to law
around these
school.
people before. We've seen Mayor Jiminy hanging out with these people. You're his
Look,
advisor.
as I said, I was his advisor, and I let him. He was, I wasn't controlling who he could talk to, right? I didn't know who he was talking to all the time. I just
You
did
see how it's
what
you
he
see
asked me to
again.
do,
You
and I
see how
did my
it's
job.
what is the
Okay,
ties?
so what you're going to connect me to?
What is the ties between the MC Nugget Spiker Gang and the MC and the McNugget family? They just seem it's a bit
Uh,
convenient, don't you think?
as I said, I've got no idea what the other side of the family, what they get up to. As I said, I'm very estranged from them now,
Okay, you say you're estranged. No,
and
you
I
no
have
no
no
no no no. No.
details of that.
You say you're estranged to that side of the family. May I remind you, Jiminy McNugget and Bobby Bobbington are on that side of the family that you keep claiming you're estranged from. There's only one person that
As
you're
I said,
claimed to
I'm
be
estranged
estranged
from.
from.
Reject that you're classifying people in terms of a side of the
You
family,
brought up the sides of
as
the family, Mr.
I
Mayor.
I
You were the one who
am
brought it up.
estranged from my brother, who's the one who's
You
allegedly a
said that you were
member of this
estranged from
biking
that side of
gang.
the
I'm
family, Mr.
estranged
Mayor.
from
But
him.
this is just you're
Obviously,
lying. You've been
I've had a working I have a working relationship with Jiminy McNugget and Bobby Bobbington, well, until recently, and that's all I have to say on that matter.
well, Mr. Mayor, you can't just dismiss this. This is a massive deal.
I'm not
There is a
dismissing it at
there is
all, but I'm
a
telling you the truth.
it's I mean well, I'll be honest, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe you. And a lot of people don't believe you about this either.
And what stops a believer? Proven time and time again. my family background should not be, quite frankly, it's discrimination. You're using my
Whoa, Mr.
family
Mayor, are
background
you?
against
That's a
me.
quite the allegation to be throwing around. All right,
You're
discrimination.
using my family background against me in this situation,
I'm
right?
not using
Because of
I'm
that,
not using it against you. I'm saying that
you're
there
you're
is a concern to
questioning
be
my
had
family
about things
background.
about like corruption and
And as I
you know,
said,
isn't it
I
isn't it isn't it
appreciate
telling?
that
Isn't it telling?
concern.
Isn't it telling that
I
as
appreciate that
Jiminy
concern,
McNugget,
however, I'm
as Jiminy
mitigating that
McNugget,
concern.
as
I'm
Jiminy Mc,
saying that concern doesn't exist because I've alleviated that concern
as
because I've told you the truth.
as former
I'm more than
mayor,
happy to tell you the truth, but I don't
mayor,
appreciate,
stop speaking over me,
when
please.
I'm tell I'm
Mayor,
telling the
mayor,
truth and people tell
Mr.
me
Mayor,
I'm lying when in fact
isn't
I'm
it,
not.
Mr. Mayor, isn't it convenient that as Mayor Jiminy McNugget gained more power and he got elected, mysteriously this biker gang known as the MC Nuggets all of a sudden started to become more prevalent and prominent in our community.
Look, personally, I haven't noticed that. Um, and also
Well,
the
but okay, just because you haven't noticed it doesn't mean it's not happening. I mean, look at the statistics. It's obvious crime.
I haven't seen any statistics of it, so I'd be happy to look at some, and I
Crime
would
is becoming
provide logical solutions for that. And as I said, I wasn't aware of Jimmy McNuggets every whereabouts. I'm not him, and as I said, we had some disagreements on some things. I'm not going to disclose
yes,
what
but
they were,
I understand.
but I
I
may have
understand that you
advised
weren't
him against certain
consistently
things.
knowing where he was,
So
but you would have had to. You have to have had
I
some
would
inkling
prefer if you
of
asked me
knowledge.
questions about myself.
I've asked you plenty of questions about yourself, Mr. Mayor. I've been very forthcoming with questions about yourself. I think it's time you answer the difficult questions that people really want to know.
Okay, give me a difficult question. I'll happily
What are your
oblige to answer
ties
it
with the
truthfully.
MC Nugget biker gang?
As I said, I have no ties with the NC Nugget biker gang,
Mr. Mayor, don't sit
apart
here and
from
lie
the
to me.
fact I'm not lying to you. I have no connections to them whatsoever, apart from the fact that you're saying that apparently my estranged brother is a
How,
member of it.
and
That's the
Jiminy
only
McNugget
known connection
himself,
I
and
have
Jiminy
to it,
McNugget
and that
himself.
is
Very,
because you informed me just now.
I, d- Mr. Mayor, I find this extremely hard to believe. You know, hold on. If we draw our attention, let me just get it up here on my old laptop here. Can you who put together the family tree, Mr. Mayor?
I believe Jimmy did one of those like ancestry
Uh
tests
huh.
or something of that sort, and it came up with this family tree that was put together by that app.
Interesting,
But as you know,
interesting.
that could
Hold
be.
on, I'm just trying to find it. Just give me a moment, Mister. I'm just trying to find the tree.
Look, if you're gonna look, I'm not denying the fact that I have a brother that I'm estranged from, and that he may or may not be a member of particular groups. All right, I'm not going to question that.
What
But as I
was the?
said, that has nothing to do with me or my campaign.
I would like to ask you another question. A bit unrelated, but
hmm
what was the Great McNugget Fire of 1945
Um,
exactly?
I was I was just what I think I was a wee little boy at that age,
Uh huh.
that stage. It was a tragic fire. I wasn't in the barn at the time, but all the other members of the family were. I was still at home as a young boy would be, and all the other members of the family were doing work in the barn, and the barn caught alight, and my estranged brother Eustace was the only one to survive.
Interesting. Um, there have been rumors circulating. I'm not accusing you of anything, Mister Mayor. I'm just gonna. That this fire was caused by someone. Ever since it happened, actually, there's been rumors that this wasn't a freak accident. You know, barns don't just catch on fire, especially not to the point of killing everybody inside. Often,
Hmm. Look, as I said, I was a few k's away at the family home. It wasn't until the local sheriff came and knocked on the door and found me and told me that my family
okay, but
had
surely
all
you've done a little
tragically
bit of
died in a
little
fire.
bit of research on how that fire happened.
Look, I do know there was a bit of investigation into arson. It was found just to be
There was an
a
investigation
motor
into
from one of the
arson.
tractors had. Yeah, naturally, as happens when there is a fire or possible, well, particularly a deadly fire, all possible things are investigated, and arson was ruled out, and it was found to be a tractor had caused a spark,
A
which
track.
ignited the hay bales.
You still, I
like a
find
tractor engine when they're working on it.
interesting. Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
do you carry a gun?
No.
Really?
No, I don't carry a gun on my person,
Do you own a
um,
gun?
at all. There are guns kept on a range that I have, ownership on a farm. They're used for recreational purposes. I don't really use them heaps. My kids more use them.
Okay. Ah, listen, man, this has been a very productive conversation, I think.
I really appreciate
But
this candid chat. Thank you.
I will say, are you still denying the connections between the McNugget family and yourself? The
What
McNugget gang?
connections are you?
The
Look, I
McNugget
am
gang?
the MC9
The
gang.
MC Nuggets?
Look, I have no known connection to organized crime. If someone that I know is connected to them, I would be deeply disappointed in that
Mayor Jiminy,
person.
for
But
example.
I don't think that's been proven, though.
I mean, he's been. I mean, he kind of is. He's been seen a lot with them. I mean, it's in the name. They call him the big. What do they call him? The big guy, the big J or something like that. You can't say that's not a coincidence.
Look, and as I said,
And
cannot
and
speculate on Jiminy's life and
I feel like you
his
can. You were
happenings.
his
Okay, I'm a
advisor. You
different
should know
person.
that. I mean, I find it
Yeah, and we
extremely. You
worked
would
in a
have.
professional setting. Look, if he was a member of an
You were
outlaw
his next door
motorcycle gang, he
neighbor.
certainly didn't discuss it with me. Yeah, do
I
you think
find
I
it.
was spying out my kitchen window on him constantly? What kind of
No,
creep are you?
my point is that you were close. You were close enough to be neighbors and to nepotism each other into positions.
And as I said, I vehemently denied the fact that any nepotism was involved. It was whoever was best for the position is the one that
I
got it.
so, but you're just not getting it, man. You can't. That doesn't work. If it's a lineage, like it goes Jiminy, then you, and then Bobby. It just doesn't. Mr.
And
Mayor,
henceforth, it is called the McNugget Party, right?
yes, but we're not. This isn't the Roman times, Mr. Mayor. You know because you just said that it's about who's most
And look,
qualified, but you're not. But you're lying because it's clearly not about who's most qualified. It's about who's
no,
next.
we're talking about two separate things here. I
Who's
think we're
most
getting this
qualified in the
conversation
family.
confused. Let's Let me clarify this position. In terms of the McNugget Party, the private entity that runs political campaigns for the people to decide who they want to be elected, that is different to who we're hiring into positions for the official mayoral office, right? There's a high level of scrutiny with that because we're dealing with taxpayers' money, right? And those people need to high level of scrutiny and they're dealt with accordingly. Yes, but you're confusing these two separate
How
entities,
are they
right? Which
separate?
I don't appreciate.
Because it's
Well,
you're
one's a
confused.
political party, one's the government, right?
Yeah, I understand, but the government, could you? But you're the mayor, right? Jiminy was the mayor,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, no,
seemingly
sorry. To clarify, I'm only acting mayor. I'm acting mayor until the election comes. Then the people get to decide who they want as mayor.
you're still the mayor. That's an
Yes, but
undisputed
until the
fact.
people decide. I'm happy to let the people decide. As I said, I called the election so the people could decide who they wanted as mayor. I'm big on democracy. Think people should have their say, and I think local voices matter. And that's why I think it was imperative of me to call the election as soon as I could, as
Local
soon as
voices
I received
matter,
the
but
offer.
you're not letting anyone else be in the party.
So we're about to open applications, right? And then it's decided
Are you
by the
now, Mr.
party
Mayor?
room who is the leader of the party. Okay, so the party room decided that I was the next leader of the party when Jimmy stepped out, and hence it was handed over to me.
Okay. You know what? I think we might be done here, Mr. Mayor. If you're not going to answer my
Right?
questions, honestly. Um,
I love the conversation. Thank you so much, Cam. And what was your name, Chad?
Yeah, mate, that's me. Sorry, it's just on Instagram, mate. Don't
Oh,
mind, mate.
I get it.